didn't succeed despite all the trials, all the mainstream media propaganda, especially here in the United States, but to a certain degree with the English language version of some Turkish mainstream media with operatives who are linked directly to Gulen and the CIA here and all the think tanks that you and I have been talking about. And that was when I predicted that since the other attempts failed, those would have been some sort of soft coup. The next step would be attempting a coup, a military coup. And Turkey is not unfamiliar. Turkey has gone through 5 coups before, and the 1980s coup was the biggest one. And the coup was implemented by United States, by NATO, using Turkish military, because Turkish military is mainly under United States and NATO. Not in the paper, not according to the bylaws in Turkey, but that's how it's been for several decades, okay? As a NATO member, Turkish military takes their order, the military, from US and NATO. So all the other things are kind of more cosmetic, election and presidents, etc. Yeah, they have some role within the internal politics, but when it comes to really big decisions, when it comes to really big implementations of big game plans, you're looking at Turkish military. So on Friday, we just found out through the Twitter and through the US mainstream media here that coup was in play. And interestingly, as you would observe with many coups around the world, especially those implemented by military / CIA deep state, they always take place at night. Why? Because they want to take advantage of the time of the day when people are in bed. So by the time they wake up in the morning, it's all done deal, okay? Then they go about establishing curfew, and that usually lasts. In 1980, when I was in Turkey, it lasted for 3-4 years in certain areas, the curfew, until they established themselves. Well, this fits that particular pattern. And then, of course, we started seeing the psych warfare. This was not present in 1980 coup in Turkey. There were no social medias. There were no Twitter. We didn't have any Facebook. But Spiro and I spent that entire day in front of the monitor, in front of our computer, and we are checking all the information that is being poured into the social media channels, such as Twitter. And lo and behold, we see this tweet popping saying Erdogan is trying to escape the country. He is flying all over Germany, can't land. He wants to have asylum in Germany. The moment we saw this tweet, it was psych warfare written all over it. Because what would you like to do to demoralize people and make the coup successful? You either false information, declare the leader dead, and that is amazingly effective because people get demoralized. They are saying it's a done deal. We don't even have a leader anymore. Or they say your leader ran away. He left you and he wants to go and get asylum in UK or United States or Germany, which they tried to do. So at that point, I started chasing these tweets and saying, where is your source and where is the link? Where are you getting this information? To just show you how the faces of coup has changed, or the implementation tactic, now it's even in a way stronger, more multi-fronted, because social media, as it did with Arab Spring, as it did momentarily when we were seeing that possible Iran Spring, use of Twitter and Facebook to help the coup succeed by spreading rumor, by spreading misinformation.
Well, it's very interesting, and you're absolutely right. And we have seen time and time again in countries like Turkey specifically, social media being shut down completely. And that is obviously going to control and influence a lot. Now, these tweets that you were talking about Erdogan fleeing the country and trying to seek asylum in Germany, you had called it right away that this was a psyop, and it definitely appeared to be, it still appears to be that way. And I had looked into the original source of this information, and from the best that I can tell, the first person tweeting about this is a guy named Kyle Griffin. and he works for MSNBC as a producer. And he tweeted out, this was mid-coup, that a senior U.S. military source tells NBC News that Erdogan refusing landing rights in Istanbul and is reportedly seeking asylum in Germany. Now, this was taking place as the coup was taking place, the attempted coup. There had not been any word yet from Erdogan or the government there. That at this point in time, the coup plotters had already taken over the press. They went in and shut down the media outlets, and they were saying that they had declared victory basically at this point. So this, like as you said, wasn't injected. It appears to be injected at this key specific point to try to stifle any kind of resistance to the coup. So it makes me question, well, who is this military source, and why are they saying this? Why is MSNBC running with this, NBC running with this? And then before you know it, like you said, it was everywhere. It was being tweeted everywhere, and then the jokes followed. Oh, Erdogan's the first Muslim who had been refused asylum in Germany, and all of that. But very interesting.
It is interesting, but we can, and there were people who were actually tracking his flight in real time on Flight Radar 24 or whatever that site is, that shows that he really was circling around for a while and obviously not able to land. So something was happening. And it's interesting that, of course, that idea just gets floated and it seems to make sense. So it gets picked up and then rebroadcast out without anyone really checking what the source of that information is. I think, again, that is modus operandi for an operation like this. That, of course, raises the specter of the deep state and who was really in control of what was going on during those hours. And I think the most intriguing possibility of all of this is that the one that is now being floated in the mainstream. And I hope we don't need to point this out for our listeners, but I think it's incumbent on us to point out the hypocrisy of the mainstream media, that the idea that this could be a coup that was staged by Erdogan himself in order to crack down on opposition is perfectly conceivable and allowable because Erdogan is on the hit list. He is a bad guy. But if this was an American friend or ally, oh my God, the idea, oh, you're such a conspiracy theorist. What a crazy person you are. So, of course, this is an allowable conspiracy theory because Erdogan is on the hit list. But it is one that does have a certain degree of, if not a ring of truth to it, at least it makes sense. If you are Erdogan and you know that there is a faction that is plotting your overthrow, wouldn't it make sense to get ahead of that, to stage or encourage this little bit of the military to do this little show coup so that you can then crack down on everyone else, which of course is exactly what's happening now. Thousands of people being rounded up, and Erdogan probably has a tighter grip now than he has in years. So it does make sense from that perspective. Sibel, what's your feeling on this idea?
Well, I would distinguish between staged versus some foreknowledge, because Erdogan for the past 3 years justifiably have been trying to clean house, because as we have received, this is documented facts, a certain percentage of military has been infiltrated by CIA Gülen network. A very large percentage of Turkish police force. And this is over 25 years period, people, that they have been infiltrations, has been infiltrated by Gülen's CIA network. Same thing with the courts. And every time he being Erdogan, even with facts and evidence, rounding up these people and removing them from the position, well, that was used especially by the Western media and the extension of Gülen network, including many media organizations in Turkey that are still under the control of Gülen movement. It became bad PR. He is being dictator. Look at this. He's removing secular thinking people from the military because he wants to bring Sharia law. Now, the real Sharia law actor for the CIA happens to be Mullah Gülen, the man who lives in the United States and gets to be every day more powerful, a man who's taking hundreds of elected US representatives into fancy schmancy expensive trips, a man who goes and builds madrasas around the world. That's the Sharia man, CIA Sharia man, accusing Erdogan of being a dictator. And we have been watching it unfold, James. This way, the idea, the notion, the rumor of the coup being staged has been floating for quite a while. I would say close to a year. Even when I was in Turkey last year, there were people who were whispering. They were saying, with election, it didn't work. It didn't work with organizing protests. Basically, they're going to come like they did in 1980s and we're going to have a military coup. Well, of course, they have had foreknowledge. How can you keep quiet, especially in a place like Turkey? In Turkey, we tend to talk, run our mouth, as our audience know with me. So would it be smart? Wouldn't you do it if you were in the position, James, to say, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity. Let them come in. Let us show the public what they are trying to do, who they are, and then without that bad PR, we can round them up and clean house. And the whole thing is, though, if you were to ask me, so this is over, Erdogan won, it's under control, I would say definitively no, because this did not seem to be the scale of and the well-planned real coup. I think this was their dry run. I think this was a warm-up coup. And the real big coup is still on its way against Erdogan. Maybe with this one, and this is a maybe, I'm putting a hypothesis label on this. Maybe it was to, you know how you check the patient's pulse to see what kind of shape that person is? Maybe they're trying to really take the pulse of the nation to see whether or not they are going to really oppose the coup. Where is going to be the public opinion? Where is going to be the public stand? What kind of holes would be in the plan?